Today on the Firewheel Podcast, we have Chris Patton of His Way at Work.
Coming to you from the heart of downtown Greenville, it's the show about thriving in a local economy. You're listening to Fire at Will with your host, Will Stewart.
Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate you letting me be here.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. You're a client of 98 Central, and
Absolutely.
So proud to have you.
A very pleased client, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we are absolutely pleased to work with you. It's been very interesting talking to your clients. We did this kind of whirlwind 2-day tour, talking to 4 CEOs with His Way at Work. And it was incredible learning about the impact you've made on their businesses and just seeing the passion that these CEOs have. I walked away talking to my wife, talking to my crew, saying, "Wow, there's something here."
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it was motivating, it was inspiring, it was exciting. Yeah. So I'm glad you had time to jump in the studio with me and let's share some of that with some people that might be watching, listening today.
I'm game. I'll tell you this, Will. I went in knowing a lot about each of those CEOs and their businesses and how we've worked with them. And I even came away more energized, more excited because of the stories and just seeing their passion, right? Because they didn't just hire us and come in. They live and breathe that. Yeah. So it's exciting for me.
Yeah, and you can't fake that enthusiasm.
No,
yeah, it's real. It's absolutely real. So for everybody who may not know what His Way at Work is, just give us a little bit of a rundown of what you guys do.
So, we started back in 2008, birthed out of a business. A local business owner in Spartanburg named Peter Freisler has a business called Polydeck, and he transformed the culture of that business. God just wrecked him back in 2006, and Peter allowed God to use him in that business and just transformed the culture of that business. Manufacturing business, they build screens for the mining industry, and had a really toxic culture before, transformed it, found a way. Peter's an engineering mind and just came up with some really unique and creative ways to change the culture in the business, bringing God into it, but not using God to beat over the head of people, right? So we take that process that they perfected, and then we vetted it over the last 140-something companies we've worked with, and we install that same operating system in other companies. So our coaches go into companies, work with the CEO and their leadership team and help install that operating system for caring in and through their company.
And I think it's incredible because every entrepreneur, every CEO should have a heart, of caring for their employees. Yes. And I think if you cornered anybody, they would probably say yes, they do. And I mean, no one's going to say no, I don't care about them, only care about the money. Regardless of whether it's true or not.
Some might, but very few.
Yeah, right. So it's interesting what you guys do because you take it from their head, whether it's good intentions or maybe even it's halfway done on paper, and you allow them to flesh it out, and not only on paper but also to make some really super interesting steps inside the culture of the company so that it permeates from the top to the bottom. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
So effectively, this operating system is, we first walk in, we work with the CEO, get his or her vision for the company. God's put it on their heart, right? You said we help take it out of their head. Actually, the head's what's stopping them. It's in their heart, but they don't know how to do or what to do. So we help them with a plan and a roadmap that shows them how to do that. So we help them set up their purpose statement, their mission, vision, core values, and then we get alignment with their leadership team, and then we help create an overall caring strategy for the business. Who are they trying to target? Employees, customers, community, that kind of thing. What are the needs, physical, emotional, spiritual? And we develop a strategy around that. And then the cool thing, this is not the secret sauce because we'll share it with anybody, but it's the caring team. And the caring team it's the engine of that system. It's made up of entry-level employees, and those employees are given a charge to love on and care for their fellow employees, and they're given a budget to work with to do that, and they have check writing authority over that budget. So effectively, the boss, the owner, has given them his or her money to work with to spend on their fellow employee in doing stuff that helps them love on those and care for those employees. And then obviously we have some metrics around each activity. We had them report that back to leadership, trying to close the system and keep that as a business type system, not just a soft, fluffy, let's throw some money at some employees. It's not that. It's definitely it's a system, but it also over time done well in the hands of those employees, it becomes the culture.
I think that's incredible that you help companies put the power into these entry-level employees.
In the employees' hands, yes.
Because that gets you vested in the company like nothing else. If you're in that employee, you're like, man, I have actual power here.
That's right.
And it's not symbolic. I don't have like a meaningless committee meeting I have to go to that cuts into my lunch,
These employees, now, again, we're talking entry level, maybe a level above that or two, but not leadership of the company. Yeah. These employees have never been given charge of somebody else's money and trusted to spend it, total authority to spend it in their life. They've never seen that. And so when they're given that opportunity, they buy in, they realize, hey, this is real. Yeah. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're not just saying they care. They're helping me actually do it for the fellow employees.
Right.
And they're backing it up. And that, especially as we rotate employees on and off that team over time, your culture becomes saturated with people that have seen, as an owner, CEO, you put that money where your mouth is, and they love it. And they buy in. Their loyalty goes up. Productivity goes up. Turnover drops. Some cool stuff.
That's incredible. And the other side of it is, if you're an employee who needs help,
yes.
You don't have to go to your boss or someone with firing,
that's right.
control over you.
You go to the caring team.
Yeah, because who wants to go to their boss and says, my marriage is in trouble, or
exactly.
I can't make the rent today, or that's a big deal. So that you can talk to your peers.
Yeah, and we build in confidentiality guidelines and things that help keep them protected. Some of the needs they have are public. My house burned down. I've lost everything. We've got insurance, but for the next 4 weeks, we've got nothing. Yeah. And employees want to chip in and help. So we got a system then. So there's no favoritism, and one person gets all this and the other person gets nothing. And so anyway, it's a really cool system.
That's incredible. That's really incredible, and so smart too. Like that's how it needs to be, and it's something I hadn't even thought of. But once I started interviewing and learning more about you guys and all that sort of thing, once
you see it live in the flesh, right? It's powerful.
Blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. So the thing I think probably we need to differentiate and kind of make clear even now as we talk about this, yes, although it is a faith-based type program, it's not just for employees who are faith-based. It can be for anybody.
No. Yeah. So basically our target CEO is a Christian CEO or owner, small business owner, that God has put on their heart a vision and a care and a love for their employees, their families, the community, for the whole picture. Mm-hmm. These owners, these business owners or CEOs see their business as a resource given to them by God to invest for eternal impact, right? For the eternal return, not just the ROI, but what we call the E-ROI. Mm-hmm. So their employees are going to be of all faiths. Polydeck, where this was birthed, has a huge contingent of Laotian Buddhists in the company as part of the production team.
Yeah.
They still work there. They still love working there. One of the guys has gone on Christian mission trips with Polydeck. Says, listen, if we all agree that we love others, why would I not go on a trip where they give me a chance to love on others and they pay the expenses?
Right. Yeah.
They may have a different motive than I do, a different belief, but we've all got the same end result we're looking after.
Yeah.
So,
and it's hard to fight against taking care of other people.
How do you argue with that?
You can't.
At least and come away feeling like you've had a chance.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's so cool. So what got you into this? Because you're the CEO now. Yeah. You weren't the one that started it, but now you're running the machine here. What was your journey to His Way at Work?
Man, do we have that time?
Yeah.
So I started third generation of a family business in Georgia, car business. So actually was a Christian in the car business.
Oh man,
there are some.
Yeah.
There are some out there.
I know two now.
You got to meet one. Yeah. Yep. So started out as a third generation, two younger brothers, and so I came up in the business from 9 years old, cutting grass, painting curbs, picking weeds, that kind of thing, and worked through the business. And so from 1997 to 2017, I was president of that company. Small family-owned business, 3 dealerships in Georgia, about 120 employees. And about 15 years prior to exiting, which was about 17 years ago, God just showed me it was his business, not mine, not our family's. He had eternal purposes for it, and I was going to be held accountable for the results. And when I realized that and I started trying to figure out what does that look like in a business, it was foreign to me. I mean, I was raised that you keep business separate from politics, religion, SEC football, right? You don't mix those things.
Amen.
Right? So basically, there's a whole lot of story there, but the bottom line was God showed me it's his business. I need to run it in a way that honors him. Morally and ethically, yes, that's good, but that's really the price of entry, right? As a Christian business owner, if I'm not doing that, then there's a big problem. But I was already doing that. I just wasn't proactively using the business, leveraging the resources to impact people intentionally.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's what shifted. And over the next 15 years, from 04 to 03 to the end of 17, that's what I did. And family supported it. My younger brothers were in the business. My dad, though not active, was still present and supported that. And about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, October of 17, I got a call from a mentor of mine that had been, I guess he'd been advising me for 5 or 6 years at that point. And he said, listen, I got a friend named Peter Freisler. He's in Spartanburg, South Carolina, has a business, started a ministry, not for profit, but here's what they do. They coach businesses to do what you're doing. And he's looking for a CEO. He wants somebody out of the business world, thinks like business, but has the heart for ministry and can really convey this passion for bringing God into the business, not just on Sundays, but Monday to Saturday as well. And so short version, I met Peter, we talked, God made it click. My wife and I prayed, fasted, prayed, and God made it ridiculously clear and has confirmed a dozen times since or more.
Sure.
So we moved. I turned the business over to my little brother, and we sold our home. That didn't take but 30 days.
Right.
And we moved to Spartanburg, and that now we've been January of this year was 2-year mark, and so I've been doing this since then. Totally new world for me. So I came out of business, quick movement. You sell, you continue, and you go into the not-for-profit world. And although we are a revenue-generating, designed to be a self-sustaining not-for-profit organization, it's still a different world.
Right.
And I went from 120 employees with people that I could delegate to. When I first showed up, it was me and 2 others. and we have doubled our size, and now it's me and 4 others.
That's awesome. So what do you think Christian businesses get wrong, or business owners, I probably should say, get wrong when it's painting with a broad stroke, but
yes,
what are the things that we're missing?
I'll tell you very quickly. That's an easy answer, and there are multiple things. Yeah. And you got to hear my heart here. This is not to indict anybody, but the truth is, the church in general does not teach enough to the Christian business owner that's sitting in the pew. Here's what you need to be doing. The message they get instead of what I'm about to say, the message they get instead is your basic job as a business owner is to make money and tithe.
Yeah. Right.
Do the making of the money morally and ethically correct.
Right.
And then tithe.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong. No, it's not. That's not wrong. It's just not the whole picture.
It's incomplete.
It's totally incomplete. It's not even half complete.
That's true.
So the truth is, these business owners have something that on paper it says they own, but the truth is God owns it. He owns the world and everything in it, straight out of Scripture.
Right.
So if He owns it, what is His end goal for it? Well, it's not net profit. You got to have net profit for a business to continue. You got to have a healthy profit to have a healthy business. That's not a bad word, but that's not God's end goal because He owns all the money. He doesn't need any more. If He does, He'll create it, right? So it's not up to us to add to His account. He owns all the accounts. So our job is to find the one thing that He doesn't yet have but still wants. And man, I looked all through Scripture to find what does God not have? and still want. And it's the souls of the people that haven't yet come into a relationship with him through his son, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Period. Now, when I first started trying to look at this, I'm thinking, well, that sounds like a church, not a business, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't go into a business, and I don't recommend others to with a bullhorn and a Bible thumping on it.
Right.
It's not about that.
Sure.
But we've got resources, like in the parable of the talents. God's given us a set of resources as a business owner. We're to invest those. We're to operate the business in such a way as to impact those employees, their families, the customers, community, in a way that points them to him. And it's out of Matthew 5, we are the light of the world, right? Let us do our deeds in front of men so they see what we're doing and they give him the credit and him the glory.
Yeah.
That's the motive. Now, later it says, don't do your deeds in public to be admired by men. Well, because you're not supposed to do it to be admired by men.
Right.
You're doing it so that they see it and give him the credit.
Yeah.
If we'll take our business and do that, as simple as that is, then we're on the right track. All that his way at work does is we don't actually convert business owners to that mindset necessarily. We just say, once they've gotten there, here's how you do it.
Right.
Here's a systemized way. Here's a business mind system to put in place in your business and make it happen.
Yeah, and that's incredible. Why is it so important to have a good, corporate environment, business environment, where employees are happy? I mean, I know this is a softball. All
right.
That's what I'm asking. Why? Because there might be some people that say, like, I just don't have time to do the lovey-dovey, give everybody a hug. You're here to be paid. I'm going to pay you. Do your job and stay out of my way. And I get that sometimes as a business owner, you want everybody just to do your job and let's move forward. Why is it important to develop that culture?
Okay, so several different perspectives I can give you. So I'm going to speak first from a pure business owner. Okay, forget the eternal perspective, just the temporal, worldly perspective.
Yeah.
Why should I care? Because the business is better if I do. Because the business is stronger, it lasts longer, turnover is lower, so my costs are lower, so my profit is up. Yeah. Business metrics improve as culture improves.
100%.
Period.
Yeah.
Now, I'll also draw a side note if you do our program, and this is not a pitch for our program, but it's just fact. If you do the His Way at Work program or something similar, as the CEO, you're not the one that's responsible for all the caring. You don't have to be the one out there loving, hugging, kissing, patting them on the back. You should be as you go through your job, but you don't have time to be doing that all day, every day.
Right.
You can't fill their bucket with the love and care they need when they come to the business. Yeah. You don't have it in you. So why not set up a system where a team of employees is your hands and feet doing that, and you're funding it, and you're directing it, and you're supporting it with company policies and guidelines, but you're not the one that needs to carry the burden for that. You don't do it for any other part of your business. Right? Your goal, even as a small business owner, is how do I get this to the point where I can hire somebody else to do it so then I can do the bigger picture? Yeah. It's the same type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And having a process is so important.
It's huge.
If whether you're a believer and you're a Christian or whether you're not, having a process, if you see value in improving your culture, it's so important to put it down on paper and then make a system that can work. And going back to the Christian business owner, because that's just something that it's fascinating as a believer. It's something that I think a lot about myself, and I know some of the people who watch are, some aren't. But if someone recognizes, they say, okay, yes, this is a problem. I've just been making money, and maybe I'm tithing, maybe I'm not. I'm just making the money. I'm trying to make it honestly, and I'm trying to obey in that way. What are some of the first steps that they can do to start changing their culture and making it better, and then take some steps toward fulfilling their purpose?
First steps, right off the bat, is ask the question, why does the business exist? Now, that sounds really simple. But if you don't know the answer to that, when it gets messy, when crisis happens around you and you wake up in the morning, you start to think, what in the world? Why am I doing that? I don't want to go in today. But when you have the answer to why does your business exist, it's your purpose, right? Now, the mission statement is what does our business do? But the purpose statement is why are we here? Why have I not sold this business, the assets, invested in a stock market, and gone about my business, right? Just do my thing.
Yeah.
Why am I going through the headaches of the business? So once you determine why does the business exist, then you got to figure out how are you going to operate. That's where your core values are. And people think initially, well, I don't have time for all that stuff. What? You don't have time not to.
Yeah.
Because everything you do without those takes you twice as long or 3 or 4 times as long because you're replacing people. You're trying to figure it out again. You're doing it over and over again. Once you decide those things, and those can go up on the wall, not as art, but as a compass that says this is how we're going to operate. And then when tough decisions come up, when challenges come up, do we do these layoffs or do we do this new project? You look at the compass and say, man, if we're going to stay true to that, well, then it becomes an easy answer.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we've looked back at our core values at His Way at Work and said, okay, that core value right there makes this question irrelevant. There is no question. It's option A, obviously.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that, you can wrestle over some seemingly tough decisions. So step one is figure out why you're there, how you're going to do business, what you're going to do. And then a lot of the other questions will answer themselves.
Yeah. And that helps with hiring employees as well.
No question.
Because it's just like, hey, you don't have to be Christian, but do
No.
you share the values?
It's the shared values. Exactly.
Yeah.
Will, and hiring somebody that doesn't share your values but has a real tremendous skill set is a disaster.
Absolutely.
They can be fantastic at sales, knock your eyes out at sales, but they don't share your core value of integrity, you're toast.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
And then it's frustrating to everybody who does share your values,
No doubt.
And in a previous episode, you were talking about that, about, values, how important that was. And, it's basically one of those things where by the time you fire them, everybody's asking you, why did it take so long,
And then you got to clean up.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is messy.
And that's a huge opportunity cost.
Yes.
For sure.
But nobody has the dollar amount to answer to that. They can't tell you exactly how much it costs, or at least most can't.
Yeah.
And so it appears like that's not the big cost.
Yeah.
I just can't afford to go down that. I can't take this much time doing this. It's so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's break down a couple things for people who are looking to create a mission statement.
Okay.
And mission statement, and what's the other
Purpose.
Purpose. So what are some of the things what makes a good mission statement?
Simple, short, easy to understand, easy to remember. So the mission should answer the question, what do we do? So in the car business, it would be we sell, service, and recondition cars. It's not going to be that short and sweet,
Right.
but it's effectively that.
Yeah.
The purpose statement is, why do we do that? Well, do we do it to honor God? Do we do it for the purpose of strong profit or profit to the shareholders? What is your why? That's the idea behind the purpose statement. But again, staying simple, staying clear, and to some degree wordsmithing, but for the most part, just stick with what, let's ask ourselves, the entry-level employee, will they be able to recite it back? Not because it makes us feel good to hear them say, yeah, boss, I know the mission statement, here it is.
Right.
But when they're doing their job and you're not around and a question pops in their head, do I do this or do I not? And that mission statement pops in, or that purpose or the core values, and they can then turn in the right direction and keep going without you having to be there. That's when the benefit happens.
Yeah.
You don't see it happen all the time, but you do enough of that and it adds up.
And that's back to your analogy of being a compass, because
Yes.
it helps them easily make that decision and navigate those waters.
So many business owners we've run into, and we come to them, they say, well, we've already got the mission and purpose statement. And they've got it, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And we'll ask the question, so can your employees recite it? Not for the sake of the reciting, but do they know it? Do they operate based on it? And do they connect with it? So integrity may be a core value, but to a forklift driver in a warehouse, what does integrity really mean? Well, in one of our companies, it's been defined as If you damage something, you spear a pallet before you load it on the truck, a pallet of product, or you back into a wall and knock a 4-foot hole in the sheetrock, do you instantly jump off the forklift and go report it or not?
Yeah.
And if you do, that's integrity. If you don't, that's unreported damage. We measure it and we determine how well are we living out our core values as a company. But if they don't connect with it at their level and they don't know what you mean by integrity, their first thought is probably integrity means that the bosses don't embezzle the money.
That's interesting.
Right? They don't look at it, how does it impact me? When you make that connection, then you get the real power in those core values, because then you've got however many your employees are, you've got that many people carrying them out.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, because if you don't make it something that they can live out in their day-to-day job, then it's just fancy words on a wall.
And they've got to understand not just what they should live out, but why. How does them doing their job ultimately impact the business's mission and purpose in a positive way? And when they can make that connection to their job, employees want more than just money. They want to work somewhere that has a cause that's bigger than their own.
Yep.
And when they can connect with your cause, because you've taken the time to do that and put it in writing and communicate it, they're going to be more productive, more effective, less prone to downtime or frustration or other offers.
Sure. Yeah. And then possibly even a way to hold leadership accountable.
Absolutely.
Because they can say like, hey, we're not doing what we said we were going to do.
That's exactly right.
Because they understand it.
And a lot of companies we work with do an employee survey, and they hear coming back up from the employees, leadership's not following it.
Man, and that's powerful.
It is.
It's humbling, but man, will that make you, if you're a humble leader, you're going to make quick reactions and quick adjustments. So if a CEO is wanting maybe they've never done the mission statement and they've never done the purpose statement, is that something you create in a vacuum? So you just kind of sit in the closet and you make it yourself?
Yeah.
Do you get a team together? Like, how do you make those?
That's an awesome question. So in a former life, back in the car business, I had a blog and shared that a little bit of that with you earlier. Yeah. Out of that, I actually wrote a small book. I never even got it printed, but I did put it on Amazon as an ebook.
Nice.
So it'll kind of break down how we did it it's a 120 employee company, and we did it back in 2006 as part of our shift in culture. But the short version is you can, so in some cases, somebody listening may be a solopreneur, right? So they've started a business, they're on their own, they're by themselves, so they need to get their team together, which is them.
And the dog. And lay it out. Just lay it out. From my perspective, I want to pray about it first. I want to make sure that whatever I come up with aligns with Scripture. Doesn't mean it comes straight out, but it aligns with Scripture. Sure.
And I want to make sure it motivates me. There's a fire when I read it. I don't care if I've read it 1,000 times. The 1,001st time I read it, I go, man, yeah, that's me.
That's good.
If it's a team of 5 employees, get them involved, right? Now, if 2 of them are janitors, so what? Are they part of the company? Are they going to be part of the growth? Do they have a voice in what's going on? So the answer to your question first is, should it be done in a vacuum? I think no. In fact, the very first version of ours, I did myself. And I thought, you know better than anybody what God's put on your heart.
Yeah.
Write it down. Instead, what should be done is I download, like I said earlier, what I believe God's put on my heart to my team, and we develop it. And involve people at different levels of the company to the degree you can. But don't let the number of people you have on your team slow you down or keep you from doing that.
Yeah. I think, with the downturn in the economy, with, all the virus stuff that's happening, now's a pretty good time.
It is a great time.
If it's a little slow right now, maybe it's some time to just, like we were talking about earlier, get on the offense and make an offensive move, which is, get this in place and use this time to do some course correction.
Adversity does not create character, it reveals it.
It's true.
Right? So when we go into a time like this and there's pressure at every point around us, that's when we need to stop and make sure we know who we are, why we are, what we are, And if we don't have it documented, take the time to get it down now and build not consensus, that's not the right word, build alignment with your team through that purpose and mission, and you'll see results.
So what should, even purpose statement or no, mission statement or no, what should a CEO or leader do right now to the coronavirus with their team? And, how should they be talking to their team? What are some steps that they can do to make sure everybody's taken care of and comforted during this time?
Great question. So, one, heard it today, a shepherd needs to smell like his sheep.
That's good.
All right. What that means is the shepherd, the CEO, the leader should be in and among the sheep right now, should be in front of their employees. I was not involved in this, but just learned at the end of the day yesterday, Peter at Polydeck and his EVP, Ron, went around to every employee in the company in groups of 10 or less
Right.
to abide by the rules,
Yeah.
and sat there and talked with them. So number one is you've got to get in there in the entry-level areas and talk with the employees. The second thing is not what should they tell them. It's ask, what's going on? What are you thinking? What's your fear? What are your problems? What are your issues? They will tell us if we create a safe enough environment.
Yeah.
They'll tell us how to serve them. And if we'll then act on it, not just pay them lip service, but act on it, we'll earn their trust, right? And over time, that pays huge dividends. So my first advice is get in front of your employees and get down in the dirt with them. And second is ask them, how can you serve? How can you help?
Yeah.
And you'll find out, well, half of us have aging parents living with us, and our concern is we go to work, bring the virus home, infect them, and they have health issues. Right? So how do we do that? Well, if you're manufacturing, you can't just shut the jobs down, right? So you have to adapt. There's all sorts of different ways you can approach it. But until you know the issues, you can't. And until you ask, you won't know. CEOs assume they know.
Yeah.
But they're so far removed, typically, from the actual needs that they're off base.
And there's that perception that they have, which could or could not be correct. But if you haven't been asking questions, then it's not correct, for sure.
Exactly.
And that's powerful. That's really good. I love the shepherd smells like a sheep. That's good.
Yeah. I can't claim it. I heard it today, but I love it.
I'm going to steal it. So tell your book. So you didn't give us the title of your book. Yeah. Where can people find that?
So it's on Amazon. It's Why Does Your Business Exist?
Okay.
And it's just a step-by-step literal, again, from that size company, how do you go about laying out your mission statement, purpose, and core values.
Great. We'll put that as a resource in the show notes. So I'm going to go buy it for me personally. So I'll get that for sure.
Excellent.
What are some other resources that you recommend? Things that people should start reading and thinking about? It could be a blog, it could be a magazine, it could be a book, podcast.
Sure. So there's no money in this, but the blog I had is still live.
Okay.
I wrote it from 2011 to 2017. I haven't added to it since I've taken this new job, but most of the content there is evergreen, meaning it can apply no matter what the timing, and it's written from someone in the business world doing this stuff every day to a fellow business owner. So ChristianFaithAtWork.com is the website.
Okay.
Check that out. The second thing that's the second thing. The first thing I'd tell you is a book by a guy named Larry Burkett years ago called Doing Business by the Book. In his book, he said, start reading Proverbs as a business manual. He said, put your business glasses on and then just go through Proverbs. You're sitting at your desk at work reading Proverbs. Even if you're at home, picture yourself. It's a business manual. And it's amazing how the words shift completely in what they show you, and then start applying what you read. And it's simple stuff. Proverbs, I don't care if you're a believer or not, Proverbs is some serious wisdom, and it's very applicable to what you're doing. So that'd be another one. And then, man, there's so many resources out there. You've got Right Now Media is a good online sort, kind of like a Netflix for Christians. There's Right Now Media at Work. So they have work content specific to the business owners and business people as well as their employees. And In fact, part of what we do in our membership program is members get the first 6 months of their Right Now Media at Work free, and they provide it for all their employees. So you can have employees watching content on marriage counseling, on parenting, on financial peace from Dave Ramsey, that kind of stuff. So a lot of content there.
That's powerful, for sure.
Yeah.
And if someone is interested in His Way at Work, where should they go?
Yeah, so our website is hwaw.com.
It's simple.
Very simple.
HisWayAtWork.com. Yeah.
That's it.
HWAW. Awesome. Well, Chris, this was exciting, really super interesting and challenging.
Thanks,
and
Will.
I hope it's helped a lot of people, and I really think it has. But for anybody who's listening, watching, we're on podcasts, any kind of podcast network that you can think of. We're on iTunes and Google. So if you like it, feel free to subscribe and please tell some other people about it. We're just out here trying to help, and that's the main thing. And then if anybody's listening on the podcast, we also have a live show that's on Facebook. So check us out there. We're going to have links to Chris and His Way at Work, the blog, the books, everything. So it's going to be full of resources for you to check out. And we'll also have some show notes at fireatwillpodcast.com. So again, Chris, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
It. Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me.
Sure.